From walking the catwalk to running the family business, she is indeed the epitome of beauty and brains. Joining us here tonight is Miss Grand Philippines 2021 and now Chief Operating Officer of Boulevard Holdings and Puerto Azul Incorporated. We have on the show tonight Miss Samantha Panlilio. Welcome to the big story.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Girl boss. She
Girl
is
boss.
a girl boss. From being Binibining Pilipinas Grand International 2021,
Yes.
you are now a girl boss. What has led to this transition? And tell us all about the CEO life.
Sure. So essentially,
COO life.
COO
life.
soon to be, hopefully. But essentially, you know, when I moved back from the U.S., I went to college there. And then afterwards, I gained some practical work experience. It was always kind of set in stone that when I move back to the Philippines, I'm going to help with the family business and, of course, apply what I've learned into the business. However, you know, I find that the transition is not so difficult because, again, even in between competing in Binibining and Miss Grand, and then after that Miss Universe Philippines last year, I was still working. So backstage, even during the pageant run, I would be working as well. So now that I'm solely focused on the family business, it's kind of exciting because I get to see my growth all the more.
You know, what's interesting, Sam, is that you've described the usual route of someone who was born into a family with a set family business, usually
Yes.
spanning more than one generation, right?
Right.
And you kind of have that expectation when you're born that this is kind of,
This
you
is
know,
what
kahit
you're
saan ka
gonna do.
pumunta, babalik ka rin dito.
Exactly.
Diba? Was that something that you, kumbaga, okay lang ba yun sa'yo? Did you look forward to that? And how has, you know, probably when you're eating lunch, your parents are talking about work, about the
Right.
business. So it's
Right.
kind of ingrained in you since birth, probably.
A little bit. And
Yeah.
that's why I opted to join a pageant, just so that I could also carve my own path. And then it's funny enough, when I moved back to the Philippines, I found out my aunt Myrna Panlilio was actually the first ever Miss Universe Philippines. So I told my dad, hey, it's still a family legacy. Is this something that I can do? And he said, sure, you know.
So you were doing the beauty pageantry world before you knew that your aunt was a beauty queen?
When I moved back.
Or when you moved
Yes,
back?
when I
Okay.
applied, and then a friend of a friend told me, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Even my dad didn't know. But
So you had to find out from someone
Yes,
else in the
yes.
pageant circuit.
it was a pleasant surprise, though.
Right. It's good that you mentioned your dad, because your dad is Josel Panlilio, and we
Yes.
all know that he's one of the business tycoons here in the Philippines. So, what lessons, diba? What important lessons did you learn from him, especially in, you know, running your family business?
Well, one of the key lessons that he often reminds us is to always keep all opportunities separate. And so in business, that means that if you have a deal, or two deals rather, it doesn't mean that you use the same techniques to be able to close it, nor do you use the same approach or the type of energy that you have in order to close it. And, you know, just like in life, if you have separate opportunities, then be sure to always have good time management in order to achieve all of them.
Being able to say that this is one thing separate from this thing. But
Exactly.
how do you balance, speaking of separating those, running a family business, maintaining the legacy, and also putting into the mix your own entrepreneurial ventures
Yes.
and your own ideas?
Yes. Well, you know, for me, I'm a firm believer that if you want to do something, you'll find any way to do so. And if you don't want to do it, you're just going to find an excuse. It's like if you're in a relationship, right? You find any way to go out with them. You make time to text them in the morning, no matter how busy you are. And the same goes with my personal businesses. I see it like a relationship. I see it in the same light, where no matter how tight my schedules are, because I have so much passion for it and because I want to do it.
But tell us all about your businesses. I mean,
Sure.
you run a luxury accommodations in Puerto Galera, Boracay, and Siargao.
Let's
Yes.
clarify,
Wow.
that's her
Photography
that's
studio
her
too.
family business.
That's my family
That's
business.
the family
The
business.
resort.
And
Yes.
then you have a photography studio and a
That's
furniture
do.
business.
Yes.
And those go under your own
My
personal
personal
entrepreneurial
business.
ventures.
Yes. And you know, the photography studio, I was actually very, very inspired because as a pageant queen, you have to do a lot of shoots, as they say, pasabog. So
Yes.
being able to work with people in the creative industry, I kind of know what they all need in the studio. So I said, might as well make it a business and be profitable at the same time.
Okay, let's talk about your resorts. I mean, I grew up, I learned how to swim in Puerto Azul.
Oh,
Back in the 80s. Maybe you weren't even born yet. But got stung by my first sea urchin there. Way back when, right? And then Fridays, I first saw it in 1986. It was the only resort in Boracay at that time with aircon.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad.
Experience.
Thank you to my parents also for dragging me around. But what are the plans to revitalize, and how do you balance, like how much do the resorts take up of your time, and how do you, balancing is the hardest?
Yes, well, currently we have Fridays Boracay under major renovation. We have demolished the whole thing and we're going to rebuild from the ground up. So yes, it is a lot of time, especially when you're planning all the nitty-gritty details. As for Siargao, we're also still constructing. And so the only one that's operational right now is the one in Puerto Galera. So it's been okay.
Which one takes up your mind space the most in your heart?
I would say Friday Siargao is my baby. So I'm the one leading this project, whereas Boracay, since it's 100 to 110 keys, we need more people on board.
How about with all of your businesses that you're running?
Which is my baby.
Yeah.
You're asking her to pick her favorite child.
I would have to say Friday Siargao because I had to go back to Siargao so many times. You have to learn about who your neighbors are or
The community
what works.
there.
Yeah, what works for the demand and supply chain, right?
Would it be because that was also the resort that you birthed, like you conceptualized, you started it?
Exactly. And it's also, I had a trip to Morocco recently, hence why I'm doing my furniture business. I got so inspired by the art that I also translated that into a lot of the designs in the soon-to-be Friday Siargao.
Yes. You've conquered the beauty pageant scene, and now the real estate, and now the photography, etc., the arts. No? Just wondering if you're planning to join the show business. On the side.
Still have time.
What about you? No, but honestly, I was presented that opportunity a couple of years ago. However, the roles that were presented did not really align with my values, though, of course, like any other opportunity, I don't want to close my doors. So if there is something that aligns with my values and my branding, then why not?
Can you describe to us what your dream project would be like in terms of showbiz, maybe doing a movie? Like, what would make Sam Panlilio say yes to this project?
A horror film. I want to be in a horror show so bad, like shake, rattle, and roll.
Yeah,
I think it's iconic, and I think it would be so fun to work with the mastermind behind the franchise.
Oh, it's great for you to manifest that. Baka
Yes.
may nakikinig na director
Oh,
siya.
or Mother Lily.
Ano gusto mo, ikaw yung hinahabol o ikaw yung humahabol?
Pwedeng both.
How about public service?
Well, with politics and public service, I think it's very similar to pageantry because before becoming a leader, of course, you have to give back to your community. And so, also being closely knit with real estate and land development, which is what I do. If this is a yes or no question, I can envision myself in politics. Why not?
So you're not, kumbaga, you're not
doors.
canceling, closing your doors or canceling anything out. Any
Yes.
option you will, take into consideration? Is that kind of thing?
Seize the day.
Yes, c'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
You still have time for your personal life, aka love life.
No, it's a love life
Asking
with
for
my
a friend.
love life with my personal ventures. Yes,
Okay,
I will
na
always
talaga
make
kami
time.
mga busy.
So that's your priority now. If we were to ask Sam, what's your top priorities now that I think you're still fairly young? You're less than under 30. So how would you categorize and kind of compartmentalize your goals and your kumbaga, what
On
takes
top
more?
of your
Yes,
list.
on top of your
Okay.
list.
Well,
Thank you,
on
Rach.
top of my list is definitely expanding the Fridays chain and making sure that the 2 hotels are up and running by the end of 2026, hopefully.
And also, I'm super curious. I mean, you are doing, the kind of business, entering the kind of business, especially taking over your dad, right? It's kind of a man's world out there, right? You're talking to contractors, engineers, designers, etc. How hard has it been for you as a woman? And a good-looking one at that. I'm going to just say it because we know sometimes people will
It could be-
undermine you.
it could be a disadvantage.
It could be.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? It is a man's world, but at the same time, I think it's such a blessing that I was able to grow up with my dad, who always taught me that, your voice matters, your opinions matter, and if you don't understand what's happening, just ask a question and move on. And so I think he really empowered me in that sense.
Do you still call him a lot, get his advice, maybe business advice, of course?
All the time. I mean, I see him every day at work, so I have no choice but to get his advice.
What's the big dream? What's the big vision for Samantha?
Well, the big vision is to just make sure that the family legacy continues, something that I can be proud to call my families, and also be proud to pass on to the generations to follow.
And out of curiosity, I know summer is almost over, what with the bagyo here, the first bagyo
Right.
of the year here, but of course, as I told you, I learned how to swim in Puerto Azul. I have not been there in decades. What can we look forward to with the redevelopment?
Yes, so I know there will be, Solaire Group is coming in also as well. It was in the news a couple of months ago, and so that's something to look forward to. Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to visit Friday Siargao.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
she mentioned that's her baby.
We will send you some invites.
Okay, when will that open?
Hopefully the end of next year, so end of 2025, if there aren't so many bagyos.
Okay.
Oh, you
Fair
are
enough.
breaking barriers in your own world, and we are inspired by your example.
Thank you.
We look forward to all the ventures and your dreams coming to life.
Reading about your new accomplishments on the news. Perhaps something we have not talked about tonight. Anything's possible.
Yes,
True.
indeed. And we end with woman power.
Right.
This week, yesterday,
This
and
week, yes.
today. Very,
Thank
very
you,
proud
Sam,
to
for,
deliver
gracing-
that.
Yes. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence on this Friday night. Miss Grand Philippines 2021, and now the Chief Operating Officer of Boulevard Holdings and Puerto Azul Incorporated, Samantha Panlilio.